Hi everyone, my name is Jen with Always and Forever, and I am, I am the founder of Always and Forever. Forgive me, it's late. I pressed a couple buttons, so this is the second attempt to try to make this work. I am here this evening just to jump on and truly say thank you. Thank you for every single person that said a prayer, for the amazing miracle that we now have in our care, that we are calling Sally Mae. Now, there is another dog that is out in the cold right now, but he is seeking shelter. So he's been coming to a barn. They've been leaving food for him. There is a trap in that barn. And of the two dogs, the impossible, the one that we thought would be completely impossible to catch was Sally. So I am beyond emotionally drained, which I'm sure all of you are, because in so many situations where you don't know what to do, sometimes the only thing that you can do is pray, and to love so deeply just from looking at a photo and knowing that there's an animal out there suffering, and to feel so helpless, to have a community come together and literally never stop believing that the miracle would happen. And I'm so incredibly moved by your faith, and your faith gives me faith to keep going. And it was never ever she's gone. It was, we're gonna find her. And to Kansas City trappers, how amazing are you to do what you do every single day? Every single day they're out there searching for the animals that are lost or strays or need them, and all just to help, with no ulterior motive, with no higher purpose. Or I can't even find my words tonight. I'm sorry. Just purely to do something good. To do something good in such a cruel, cruel world that put these animals in a situation that none of us can even stomach to think about. Now, I don't even know, these last 4 days have been a complete blur. We were tagged on a Facebook post. Actually, I don't even know if we were tagged. For anybody that knows me or is friends with me, I literally don't follow anyone on Facebook. All I do is post on our page. What can I control in this world? Myself. Our organization. What do we focus on? Us. The things that we can do that are within our control to make this day better than it was yesterday, to build a better tomorrow. So why would I focus on anybody else and what they're doing? And unfortunately, social media is such a beautiful blessing for the lost animals, the strays, and it unites people in such a beautiful way that without, people wouldn't even have a picture. People wouldn't even know how to help or how to be connected. And what happened was, one of our staff members, actually Summer, put it in our Red Barn staff and said, there's a lost dog, or there's a stray dog on the side of the road. And they say she could be aggressive because she growled. And almost at the exact same time, Miranda had shared that in a different message group. We call it our intake group, where we kind of have a bunch of different people and a bunch of different groups all over the place. So almost at the same time, two different staff members shared that in there. And I saw it. And I called my friend Beth and I said, we can't leave this dog in the cold. And a lot of times when a dog growls, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're aggressive. It means that they are scared. So we have worked with many, many dogs that are fearful. And what does that take? It takes time to build trust, to build a relationship. So it was probably 5:15 at night when she said that. I had just finished up work, messaged our barn staff through a catch pole in the car. We threw blankets, and we each grabbed a slip lead, and I think we grabbed some treats. I can't remember. But by the time we got there, it was about 35 minutes away. By the time we got there, the sun had just set. And we're talking, it's probably 5 degrees outside right now. And we had called Ken, who is amazing, with Miami County Sheriff, and he actually ended up driving out there too. And then I think it was Monday night. My days are all a blur. I'm not even sure. And from 6 to about 8 p.m., we drove kind of the perimeter, and it's just a huge country pasture area, walking around in the woods, looking for a dog that was just a photo on the side of the road. And we were not prepared. We had no gloves. I think Beth had no gloves. We had no layers. And it was just get in the car and go. Now, do we know what we're doing? No. Are we animal control? No. But just like you see a photo and you see a dog that needs help, or you see a situation where a human being needs help. It doesn't matter. It's the human instinct to want to do something. And if we have the ability to do anything to help, we always will. Now, that doesn't mean we always do it right, and that doesn't mean that we always succeed. And we went out there, and it was 2 hours in the cold, and the problem was we got there right when the sun set, so we couldn't even see paw prints, we couldn't see anything, we didn't know what we were doing. We're just kind of wandering around and driving around looking for this dog. And we ended up meeting a neighbor who came out that night too, all bundled up. It's so funny because I'm not really a talker to people I don't know, but she had a very similar card to Sarah, and I'm like, oh my god, Sarah came. So I just walked right up. It wasn't Sarah, a very kind lady named Jill, and she shared that this whole neighborhood had been worried sick, and just a small little farm community, and guys, it's about 500 acres. So when you see the vast area of where they were, and I can drop some photos in here, just beautiful, it really is, in Lewisburg. She said that the whole neighborhood has been sick because I guess it was Saturday that a woman pulled up in a blue minivan, and someone saw her open her back door and let her dogs go and drove away. And I think of mine behind me. There's one beside me, and there's one in the other room. And I can't even imagine. The why, the what, the circumstances, the past, and I don't want to, because ultimately we do have Sally Mae in our care right now, and if you look at her body is covered in scars, and these are not new scars. These are not scars from wandering the woods. These are old scars, and the vet says could be for fighting. She could be a bait dog. We don't know. We can make anything up, but we won't. But her body tells a story that we will never know. And so that was Monday night. And then Tuesday morning, we're like, okay, well, we're going to go out when the sun is out. Maybe she'll be out there. And the temperature hadn't dropped as far. If you guys have followed Kansas weather, it's on steroids. One day it blows up, the next day it falls below. It's just ridiculous. And we knew the temperatures were dropping Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday was going to be the worst night. And that was our fear. We just had to get there. We had to find her. We had to get her out of the cold. And we would figure it out if she's aggressive. Most of the time they're not. Most of the time it's fear, and it's our energy that comes into that. And just understanding that dogs communicate in a certain way. So we raced out there, and we went back Sunday morning, and we got there exactly at 7, because you guys, if you follow our page, I'm up at 4 every day, and I wake my crew up, then I go wake the barn up, and I'm in the barn at like 5, and then I usually head out of there just before 7, so I know when the sun comes up. So I'm like, oh, we'll just get up extra early, and then we'll head and we'll get there, because remember, it's about 35 minutes away from here. And I said, Beth, let's go back at 7. Here's what I can tell you. Every single person on our staff, on our team, would go out there if they could. Now, that Monday night, our staff members went out there. They went out there at 9 o'clock. Summer went out there. She's the one that flagged it. Ashley went out there. She brought her boyfriend. She brought her dog. And the neighbors were out there searching for her too. It was just like, it was all of a sudden, it was like, hey, doesn't matter what's going on. This dog needs us. Now, we only knew about one until I shared the story about the 2 being dumped, and then we found out more talking to other neighbors. But from 7 o'clock to when we left, it was almost like a tandem effect, to where it was like we left, then someone came, then they left, then someone came, And then the messages throughout the night, did you see them? Were there paw prints? Somebody found paw prints. We were leaving chicken. It was so, I mean, it was awful. Nobody slept. And that was just Monday night. But we were all connected in a purpose so much bigger than ourselves. And this was one lost soul that we knew needed us. So, didn't matter title, didn't matter organization, didn't matter who you were from or what you were doing, or if you knew what you were doing. We all just kind of went there and said, okay, let's try. She is at least worth trying. And so then Tuesday morning we went there, 7 a.m. and we're just walking through the woods because we couldn't walk through the woods because it was super dark, and we didn't bring headlamps. Like, Beth and I didn't think ahead. The very first rescue that we ever did, just so that you guys know, I showed up without a leash, I showed up without a cage, and I literally just put the dog in my car and took him home. And then the second, well, not really a rescue, but when we went to the Osawatomie Pound, when it was a pound at the time, once again, there was, he scared me. She's so, you are very crabby and you are unalive. I'm sorry, Maddox, you joined the live, hot big guy. That's, Lucy Lou is very crabby back there. I showed up at the Osawatomie Pound, and again, I had, thank you very much, Maddox. You don't normally join my lives. It's very sweet of you. No leash, no kennel, nothing. And the dog was just soaked in feces and urine. And I was in a suit at the time because that was pre-COVID, and there, you know, we were in the office, and I actually happened to have a board meeting that day because I was a mutual fund attorney at the time. I do asset management work, and I'm still a full-time attorney. But so I was there in my suit, and all I had, thank you very much, Maddox. I was telling a story, Maddox. All I had was my gym bag and my gym shorts, basketball shorts. You're a very, very sweet boy. Maddox is available for adoption, you guys. So, you know, he's not great with new people, so it takes a very long time for him to get used to new people. He's full of love, but again, he was rescued, and he's got scars that we never know. But the bottom line is, 99% of the time, we don't know what we're doing. But don't let that stop you. You don't have to be experienced in rescue. You don't have to have a background in anything. You have to have the courage to be willing to try and be willing to fail, because these animals need all of us. And what it takes is it takes the community to come together and put everything aside and say they are worth finding a way. Finding a way to save them. So 7 a.m. we're out there walking around the woods, just at the spot that we knew she was dumped, that they were dumped, and there was the suspicion that she would be there. And I'm walking through the woods, and then all of a sudden, I just see this lightning fast movement. And in my mind, I'm a very, very spiritual person, so I talk to the dogs that I've lost, I talk to people that I've lost, and I talk to God, and I ask them to help me connect with their souls, and all I saw was just this image, and I really thought she was a ghost, and then she just took off, because I know I startled her in the woods, and she just took off from the woods into the pasture. Now remember, we're talking 500 acres, partially wooded, open pastures all throughout. And of course, what stupid thing do I do as a human being that doesn't know how to trap a dog? I go running after her and I yell, I found her. And so they hear me, and I don't think she saw me. She was so fast. And in my mind, I was like an Olympic marathon sprinter, and I was probably like slower than dirt because there was so much snow when you're in snow boots, and that morning I was actually in layers and prepared and trudging along. But she was alive. And that's when we knew we were totally out of our element. And we immediately reached out to Casey Trappers. And what they do, she was out there, I think, within an hour. Just amazing people that give so much of themselves to help the ones that are most in need. And we had to leave, and then she came, and, you know, but there was proof of life, and proof of life is hope. And anytime there's hope, that just continued the movement and the mission that she was meant to live. And even though the temperatures were dropping, we kept finding footprints. And so, you know, I think we left at like 9, and then I had to work, and, you know, you're out there for 2 hours, and it's like 5 degrees, like -20 below zero with the wind chill, and you never get warm. Like when you come home, I come home to a warm bed, animals all around me, and you think about them, and you don't know how to stop thinking about them. And so we message all night, what do we do? Do we get a drone? There's privacy laws with that and all these other things. And we reached out to a pet communicator who was it was literally spot on. And she said, she talked about the 2 dogs, and she talked about describing the area and so forth. And we found out her name was Sally. And then I called her Sally Mae. And she loves hot dogs. And she could feel her fear, and she could feel her pain. And now she can feel her peace. And thanks to Casey Trappers, and thanks to the amazing community and everyone that came out there and searched, she's alive, and she's in our vet's care at she's at Blue Pearl tonight. And the very best news is that she is going to a foster home tomorrow. Now, there are 2 dogs. We have not forgotten about the other dog. He is a little bit younger. He has been going to shelter at night. So, Casey Trappers, he's a survivor. He is absolutely going to be caught. And if you look at the Kansas weather, it's going to be 60 degrees on Monday. This weather doesn't make any difference. But it was -10 last night. -10. And that was without the wind chill. So the fact that she's still here this morning, and now her paws are incredibly swollen. If you look at her jowl and her face, her little muzzle, there's frostbite on them. You can feel her fear, but you can also feel how gentle her soul is when you're there. And it was so hard not to go in there. And even Judy and Beth and I were sitting there, because all you want to do is you want to wrap your arms around her. You literally want to go in there and just hold her and smother her and put all of your emotions and your heart on her. But you also want to respect that we don't know what she's been through. Not even just the past 4 days, but prior to that, where her body is telling that story that we're never going to know. But we're going to love her from the moment we saw that picture till pretty much forever. Because that's what love is. And that's what she has done. She has brought a community of neighbors that I didn't even know. I've got everybody's cell phones. And Casey Trappers, I can't say enough amazing things about them. Just selfless, what they do in the cold, in the heat, it doesn't matter. There are so many unsung heroes in rescue that nobody knows about. And just amazingly good people doing such selfless things. So I wanted to jump on tonight and really just say thank you. Because from the moment we saw her photo to right now, till tomorrow, until whenever we find this second dog, which we will, I know we will, there wasn't doubt. And that's when miracles happen, when we all come together and we say, God, you can do this. You have done miracles before for us. Sally Sue, Mikhail, Jenna. We were all just talking about Jenna the other day. Guys, Jenna was lost. We sent her to Arkansas to an adopter that literally opened up his fence and let her go because he didn't want her anymore. In the middle of Arkansas, what did we do? 4 of us got in a minivan. We rented a minivan. We got in a minivan. We drove to Arkansas, like the boonies. We were walking around swamps talking to a pet communicator. We got within 2 miles of where Jenna was through that. And we put out flyers everywhere. And then we drove back in the middle of the night. It was 4th of July. I finally fell asleep because if anybody knows you have a lost dog or someone you love their life is in jeopardy, you don't sleep. You panic, you worry, you pray. And I don't know how I fell asleep that night, but there was a call in the middle of the night, or there was a Facebook post. I can't even tell the story right because I wasn't involved. I was sleeping. I woke up to like 100 messages that Jenna had been found. And I had forgotten about that. And not that I had forgotten about that, but I hadn't thought about that. But I know to the core of my being that every single day, always and forever exists. Every single day, people are bonded by love. Miracles happen. And what you focus on is what is exemplified. And if you're focusing on the good, if you're focusing on hope, and if you're focusing on love, that's when the impossible is possible. And that's when we come together and we change the world. Shelters, I know I'm on these lives every morning with all the dogs in the barn, and I know I say it all the time. Shelters do not have to be doom and gloom and death. They can be focused on love. They can be focused on life. They can be focused on joy. They can be focused on hope. And you don't have to have a background in rescue. You don't have to know what you're doing. You just have to have the courage to try. I will say this right now. We get a big fat F at our animal control and trapping efforts. But we all get an A for being a community that truly, truly never, ever gives up. And tonight, Sally Mae is sleeping for the first time in 5 days, whatever it was, since she's been dumped, in our trusted vet's care. Now, she did have to stay at the emergency vet tonight because she's getting IV fluids. She was partially anemic. She is very, very malnourished, skinny. There is a fear. I haven't heard the ultrasound results. I don't know if she was pregnant or not, but there is the fear that she could have pyometra, which is from a dog being not spayed. I can't think. It's been a long day. I haven't slept in a really long time, but it's concerned enough that she needs to be there. And one of the hardest things to do was to leave the hospital. And I actually didn't even have time to run over there, but I made time because I had to just see her, and I couldn't stay, and I wanted to stay, and everybody wants to stay because, like I said, all you want to do is just wrap her in your arms and literally never let her go. Because when you look at her eyes and when you look at her little face and you see her little broken spirit, you know that only good things are coming. And that's because of all of us, and that's because of believing that anything is possible and that they are worth trying for. And that's why I will say all the time, shelters don't have to be the way that they are now. It just takes people to believe that change is possible. So I could ramble on all night about this, but I did think it was worth jumping on and saying thank you for believing in all of the crazy adventures that we do, and never, ever, ever, ever giving up. Have a wonderful evening. Keep your prayers coming for her friend. We're not giving up. We know God isn't going anywhere either. He's watching him, and he'll come to us too. Have a wonderful night, guys. I will see you bright and early at our little red barn full of ridiculously cute adoptable puppies. Someone save Julian from the puppies, okay? If you wanna help Julian, adopt a puppy because he's sick of them. So have a good night, guys. Thank you again. Bye-bye.